The last several teardowns have been simple. They're easy. I can get them filmed in 3 or 4 hours. No muss, no fuss. Most of them are 4 cylinders, or they're stripped and they don't have a lot of parts on them. And you know, I ate a lot of food at Thanksgiving, and I need to work off some of that food. So I walked around the shop today, and I decided to pick something complicated. We've done one of these once before. I don't think this is the most complicated engine I've ever done, but it is a Mercedes M278, which is a 4.7 liter bi-turbo direct injected dual overhead cam V8. It's all aluminum. Makes about 400 horsepower, a little over 400 horsepower. This particular engine is out of a 2013 ML550. They also come in GL550s, S550s, E550s. There's some differences between the power outputs and the oil pans and some other things depending on what it came from. But this was a core return at a local yard, and a core return is essentially when a salvage yard sells an engine, they charge a certain amount of money to get the old one back. This is somebody's old one. So I don't know miles, I don't know history, I don't know what's wrong with it, but we're going to take it apart and find out. The M278 replaced the M273, which was a 5.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. This makes just a little bit more power, significantly more torque, and is supposed to be more fuel efficient. Although when you buy a big SUV with a V8 in it, is that really what you're going for? Either way, I don't have any hate towards these engines other than the head bolts. The last one of these that I tore down, the head bolts just about broke my shoulders. I have a bigger breaker bar now. Hopefully it won't be so bad. Now this engine is fully dressed. It has the turbos on it, it has air boxes, all these tubes, pipes, hoses, brackets. It looks ridiculous. It is not quite so bad. You'll see. It comes apart pretty easy. A lot of bolts. Just be prepared. Lots of bolts. The first thing I'd like to do is turn this thing over. I checked. Still has spark plugs in it. No coils to create music for us. Let's see if it turns over. Oh man, that doesn't feel good. That is, it's not supposed to be that difficult to turn over. I mean, they are pretty high compression. Oh, I hear bad stuff on the inside of the timing cover. Let's keep going. All right, I'm gonna stop because I know it turns over enough to get the bottom end apart. That's usually my concern. And now we'll pull the plugs. Well, there's some good and bad here. They're all the same plug. They're all Mercedes plugs, so it has the right plugs in it. And most of them don't look so bad, but the rear 2 cylinders on the right-hand bank, these are super grody, especially this one, the 3rd cylinder back. It's got lots of deposits on it. Something's wrong on that corner of the engine. We may see that that may not be the actual problem with this engine. Maybe it's just a contributing factor. Now, out of complete curiosity, now that there's no plugs in it, let's see if it turns over any different. It's still very bad. Did you guys hear that? Something is bad on this side. All right, now we're going to take a moment and start to remove the air boxes. I don't think most of this is installed all the way. I think that, obviously someone took the harness off of it, which required a lot of parts being removed. So I think this probably be pretty easy. It'll look a lot more simple once all this stuff is off. I'm starting to get used to this no tools thing. We got a few things done. The very next thing we're going to do is remove all of the high pressure fuel lines. Yeah, that was simple. See, look how much cleaner this looks already. Next, we'll get the charge pipes off. Next, we're going to get this bracket off so we can get the high pressure fuel pumps off. Easy peasy. All right, now let's unbolt the intake manifold. I think that's it. Nope, that's not it. There's more? Somewhere? Is there a bracket? Nope, I think I just got to crack it loose. Blue? Nope, just had to crack the seal. Oh, we've got some hoses to contend with. Oh, this has to leave first. That's unfortunate. Why did they put this little... Oops. Fixed it. This, though, I don't know where this bolts in. Oh, it's behind. I gotta take this idler out of the way. Look at all that room. There. Now she should come off. You're caught. We're uncaught. We're caught. We're uncaught. Well, this looks like a really good argument for port injection. Yuck. And it gets worse. And worse. And better? Wait, what? That side doesn't look too bad. Why? These are some of the cruddiest intake valves that we've ever seen on this channel. Now, I don't see any chunks of metal. They are ugly, except for that one. So the rear cylinder, both banks, looks good. I wonder why that is. Now, something else I noticed is that this engine clearly sat with water sitting on the ground, because this is not a normal water line. So if you're wondering if this came through a flood, this engine must have sat outside for some time, but it was really well sealed, so I don't think we're going to find any rust in the engine. I have my fingers crossed. Something else worth noting is that these engines, the 276, the 278, the 157, all have a water-to-air intercooler under the intake manifold. I don't know how they fit it in there, but they did. Next, we're going to work on the turbochargers. We're going to start on the right side. Looks like this mid pipe is already loose. So we'll just take these out, and hopefully this can slide right out. Well, there's another bolt back here. Well, that was easy. Next, we can start unbolting some of the lines, the oil return. Now the oil feed. We'll just take this line off completely. I said we're going to take this line off completely, which means all the way. Come on. Now a coolant line. Oh, it still had blue coolant in it. It's the correct coolant. Now the next part I remember from the last one of these I tore down. It has this thin piece of metal which fits over all of these nuts, and this keeps those nuts from backing off from engine vibration and heat cycles. It's kind of like the old school way of tying mechanics wire or whatever that's called, or drilling holes through it and pinning them, or lock washers. This is I think a much more foolproof way, and the reason I say that is because I'm going to look like a fool trying to get this thing off. This is going to be ugly in every possible way. You'd think that'd be great because it came off pretty easy, but there's another one. That was violent. Now we can get all of the hardware off. That's a larger size. Is this a Ford? A 12 millimeter on a Mercedes. That is just, it's incorrect. It feels so wrong. Now I just have vacuum source for the wastegate. And this turbo should just go boop right off. Boop. razor sharp gasket onto the left side. This side still has the heat shield on it. I'm not sure what else holds this in. It feels very firmly bolted in place. Oh, it is. Wait, how am I supposed to get that? I guess I just have to fight. I don't know how that's supposed to work. But keep in mind, this side's a little more complicated because there's a steering shaft, at least on the North American vehicles. There's a steering shaft that goes right here, and some of the German spec stuff. It's left-hand drive is what I'm trying to say. And to get all the bolts for this shield has to be in the way, and to get the bolt for the shield, this has to be out of the way. So the only way to fix this is to remove this bracket. Okay, I really am confused now. I guess there's another bolt up here. Wow, that's really tight. Okay, I got all the easy ones out. All right, I figured it out, guys. It's way easier than I thought. You just need a bunch of extensions. I'm sure that's super accessible in the car. I'm sure all of this is engine out. It's off now. I mean, the nut is. Looks like I gotta get that out next. Ah, that's easy. And now some of the lines with the oil return and the oil feed. Now that's out of the way. Vacuum source. All right, at this point, all that's left are the bolts that hold the turbo on. Now we can unbolt the turbo. Oh, turns out I missed one. Let's take a look at these turbochargers. There's no shaft play on that one. These things are a thing of beauty. They're so clean. Compressor wheel looks perfect. Yeah, this is an excellent shape. Not a ton of play in the fulcrum for the wastegate. A little bit, but not terrible. Let's check this one. Just the slightest amount of play. I wouldn't consider that bad at all. No in and out play. Compressor wheel looks beautiful. I didn't see a ton of oil in the charge piping or intercooler, so I don't think these things were pushing oil past the seals. These things look like they're in excellent condition. Hopefully I can sell those. Next, the fuel injectors and rails. Now, I do remember this from the last time, that these can be kind of a pain to get out. Which is why we're going to work on this with twice the blue power. Ah, yeah.
Excellent.
Now for the other bank. Easiest set of DI injectors ever. Next, we're going to remove the fuel pump housing and then crankcase ventilation. Next, the front cam cover. Apparently, oh, those are aluminum. Apparently, this is a pretty common place for them to leak. Someone's been in here. That's not supposed to happen. So normally those are bolted in place, and that would explain why we heard some pretty bad noises while turning it over. That's not good. Before I pull the valve cover, I need to remove this lift hook. On Mercedes engines from this era, the cam caps are part of the valve cover. So I'm going to have to remove these in some sort of normal order, and I don't know what the tension is going to be like. These are not very tight. In fact, I'm just going to zip these out. I feel like this has already been off. For sure, this has been off already. Oh no. Well, it doesn't look perfect. A little bit of damage there. I'm not going to say it's useless. I think they're still serviceable. It'd be really interesting to see what the cylinder head journals look like. I don't see any valve train out of place. But the caps on the valve cover, a little bit of damage there, little damage there. It's really inconsistent. What do you think? Are these still usable? Now it's time to get the dipstick tube out. And this is a German car, so I don't know what that means. You gonna play nice? Ah, yes. Very simple. I'm just glad it even still has a dipstick. This new, still having a dipstick, it's pretty unheard of. Next, the vacuum pump. Looks to be in pretty good shape. First look at the oil out of this thing. Not good. Since we're in the neighborhood, we'll go ahead and get this lift bracket off. Next, we'll get this coolant pipe out of the way. Oh, I broke the thermostat pipe thing. Oh no, I don't care. And now, plate on the other side. Oh, that side's still glued on. It doesn't seem like this side's been tampered with. I'm going to try again, see how this feels. Yeah, see, that's what we're looking for. Oh, I think I got to zip these out. Okay. It's not a lot of... Oh, yes, there is. Oh, yeah. Come on, Blue. Help me out here. Well, this side looks a little bit better. Again, all the valve train looks like it's where it's supposed to be. I don't see anything jumping right out at me. But there's a little bit of forbidden glitter. Sparkly oil is never a good thing. But it doesn't look like they're too torn up. Yuck. Now let's get the oil filter off. This was hand tight, so that tells me we're going to find some stuff. A leaf!
Again? Really? Again?
A leaf. Why are leaves in in this engine. I mean, I know that modern engines are supposed to be eco-friendly, but that's not the way that works. Okay, no, seriously, a leaf, this really trees me off. I mean, it's got sparkles on it. Bottom of the oil filter, that's some ugly oil. The filter itself, it's glittery. Sparkles. But it's really fine material. There's no large slivers. Let's get a close-up. All right, I can't get you any closer. I mean, I can, but it won't look good. You see the glistening? Now, it's not like it's packed full of material, but metal in a filter is just bad. That's just not what you want to find. Matches the oil. And look at the junk in there. That's not good lubrication right there. Next, we'll get the oil filter housing off. Now, I'm not sure if this one has to come out, but I'm going to try to not take it out. Ooh, oil should not be gray. Nope, that doesn't look so great. Could be worse. I don't see any large chunks of anything in here. Next, the harmonic balancer crank pulley. I don't know how difficult this is. Oh yeah, I moved a whole bunch. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this bolt in loosely so it doesn't go flying. This is supposed to come out without breaking. Apparently these never break ever. No, I'm kidding. Plastic in a water pump, what's the worst that could happen? That wasn't bad. Next, the water pump. Now, there's only a few bolts that hold this on. Should be pretty easy. Is that all of them? I feel like I missed one. There just weren't enough. Oh, that's all of them. And what a unit. It's in really good shape. None of the coolant looks corroded. Looks like it may have been leaking just a little bit right there, but it's not bad. I bet these parts are really expensive. Next, we're going to remove the other chain tensioner. The passenger bank or right bank is already removed. It came that way. Yeah, that's good. It's in good shape. Next, we need to remove these pins that hold the timing guides in. All right, and then we'll thread our slide hammer right into that. And there's one pin. I might have cross-threaded that. It's fine. Next, we have these 4 cam retainers. Now, if I remember right, I should be able to roll this off. Should be able to. And then I can, I think I got to do that on both of these. There we are. That's not too bad. That's not too good. That's not what oil's supposed to look like. There's a lot of anti-seize. No, that's just metal. Lots of particulate, small metal particles in the oil. But the journals don't look too bad. Hopefully, maybe this thing was shut down in time before major damage happens. We'll see. The cams don't really look too bad. There's not really a ton of damage. I don't really see any major wear, which is surprising since we know that there's been metal in places it's not supposed to be. Before we get the big head bolts, we have a few bolts along the perimeter. Oh, they're not even tight. These will be tight. Now it is time for head bolts, and I say that the way I said it because to date, the last one of these engines that I have torn down had the tightest head bolts that I've ever contended with. Tighter than the Cat, tighter than the 3-liter Duramax. I actually broke one on the last engine. Now this time, I've got a much better engine stand with brakes and a bigger breaker bar. So I'm going to hope that it's not the fight it was the last time. Oh, it feels like it's the fight. Did they break something? No, that wasn't bad. Oh, my shoulders are rejoicing. Yeah, that didn't feel good. Don't mind that. That doesn't feel right. I think something bad might have happened. Well, that was nowhere near as bad as the last one. So I don't know if this one has a defect, or maybe I'm just stronger. That's unlikely. Can you hear the head popping? I mean the head gasket. That's what I meant to say.
Good. 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 Good.
Bad. Good. Good. So only one broken head bolt. That's not the end of the world. I didn't even think I put that much force on that. All right, now we can pull the cylinder head, I think. Did I miss something? Nope. Well, Oh. Well, I see what's happened here. And it's not good. Head gasket, perfect. Other parts, less than perfect. But first, our test. Perfect score. Well, I think you can see the problem right there. And there. It's a pretty bad case of bore score. I've seen worse. That doesn't make this good. Can't see what that cylinder looks like or that one, but I would wager they don't look that dissimilar to that or that. And that side looks even worse. That side's not so bad on that cylinder right there. It's just that bottom. Whew. That head bolt way down there. It might come out pretty easy. That might be for another task, another time, if this block's even salvageable. Thankfully, the cylinder head looks pretty perfect. I don't see any cracks. There's no valve damage. It looks good. And rinse and repeat. Very similar story on this head. The journals look pretty good, but you can tell there's a little metal tinge in the oil. Don't see any valve train issues. It all looks pretty solid. It's a little bit of wear on the fuel pump cam lobes, but otherwise, these cams look pretty good. I don't see anything too terrible. I think the upper end of this engine is going to be just fine. Oh, we don't know that yet. We still have a head to pull. And again, some perimeter bolts. Same thing on this head. Hopefully we don't break any. Oh, that's rough. Uh-oh. That was a bad pop. Yeah. Good, 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 good.
Bad.
Good.
Good.
Well, at least we're ending on a high note. Only one broken head bolt per side. Is that good? I don't think that's good. That doesn't seem good to me. Hopefully this works just like the other side. Well, what have we here? Oh. Head gasket. Perfect. Well, we've got to do our test. A full set. We don't know if they're good yet. So we can't really see that bore. But this one, it looks okay, but we can only see the first couple inches. Oh, I take that back. That's bad. And that's much worse. So if you remember, this cylinder and this cylinder were the two ugly plugs. So I think this engine had a very slow death. Look at that. Yep. Lots of aluminum transfer from the pistons. That really wrecks the coating of the bores here. Cylinder head, it looks pretty good. I don't see anything too terrible. There's no signs of any problems with the cylinder head, so that's good. All right, now, normally I drain this thing to make sure it's empty, but I'm just gonna flip it over. That'll make sure it's empty. It's mostly empty. Next, we'll get the lower pan off. Let's get a mallet. Well, sparkles. This looks like some fine, high-quality agate, but it's really a lot of metal in the oil. It's like a piece of impressionist art. But no large chunks of anything that I can see. I suppose that's good news. Now, the upper pan. What do you think? Is there another bolt over here? I can't tell. There's so much. I shouldn't talk. And that's supposed to be oil, and that's more metal than oil.
Why did I pull that out with my... Why did I do that?
Oh. I think we're making some progress here. You know, I think this has to come out. Yes, it does. Oil return line for the turbo. And now, the big upper pan. So that looks like JB Weld, but I promise that's only going to take things apart. The oil just does not look good in this thing. But then again, some of it doesn't look so bad. I did take a peek down the pickup, and you can see trails of metal deposited oil. Next. Next, we're going to attack the timing cover. Oil cooler. Blue. Oil cooler looks pretty good. All right, now we've got a whole bunch of T45s. Did I get them all? I think I did. Now we're going to give this timing cover a couple little taps. I guess I got all the bolts out. But I didn't get the connector on the oil pump. That was a mistake. Well, I guess we could just... Don't you go anywhere. There we are. Timing cover's off. Looks really clean inside. It's a nice piece. Now we've got some timing components. I don't know what that is. It's a rail, actually. It looks great. That cassette looks good. It's a shame the chain's stuck in it. The rest of this, it looks like I need tools for. We'll get this out next. Actually, we're going to get this tensioner. Oh, that was violent. Should have been wearing safety toe for that one. Oh wait, do I need to take... What is happening? What is happening here? We don't need that. Oh, I need to take that out. Can I just pull this all off in one piece? What goes down here? Am I supposed to pull the oil pump off first? Yeah, let's just take this off. Nope, that doesn't come off. Yeah, it does. A little bitty rail. It's perfect. So it's all this chain right now that's jamming us up. And that gear does not come off the oil pump. So it would tell me that the oil pump needs to come off next, because I don't see a way to get this chain off this gear. Nope. Time to remove the oil pump. It's fine. Let's get this oil pump off. Okay. Oil pump is off. Looks pretty decent. We might take this apart. Now all of this will just slide right off. Beautiful. That's a super simple setup, you know. It's a 4-chain engine. It's really not bad. It's kind of neat. I'm going to take a minute and get these engine mount brackets out of the way. Now we're going to turn the crank over so we can start getting rods and pistons out. This turns pretty smooth. I don't feel or see any problems, so that's good. If I can get a good crank out of this, I'll be happy. Now we're going to see how hard it is to get these out of the bore. They may come right out. Nope, we're gonna let them sit all the way down at the top of the bore and continue to, nope, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to push them out. Yep, we're gonna have to push them out. On to the next two. bearings have a little bit of wear. Like some fine debris went through them. But they're not nearly as bad as we've seen. I don't know how many miles are on this engine. I really wish I did. They all are pretty consistent, which is nice. As far as that fine material, well, let me show you a thing. So the rods look good. The pistons are bad. Look at all that skirt damage. The other side, not so bad, but the thrust side, that's pretty horrendous. And these are the good ones. Now, I've said this before. If you guys want to buy anything that I take off these engines, rods, pistons, something for your desk, or something you need for your own car, everything's for sale. Except for the blue M3. That car's not for sale. Yeah, these are rough. It gets worse. It's really deep. Deeper. So that finely powdered material we saw mixing the oil, that's aluminum off the pistons. And then I'll show you where the rest of that came from when we get a little further in this teardown. It's definitely centered around the center bores. I mean, there is some damage at the rear, but it's nowhere near as bad on the ends of this engine as they were in the centers. Now it's time to pull the main caps. First, this plate off the back. I don't even know if I'm moving this thing. Oh, that did it. Don't mind those thrust bearings. Now the crank should just boop right out of there. Right on out. Well, the main bearings are not as nice as the rods, and the rods weren't great either, but there's just a little bit more wear on these. The other shell looks pretty good. The crankshaft looks very nice, which is good because this is a pretty expensive piece. I did not get one of these out of the last engine I tore down. At least I don't think I did. I feel like that crank was bad. Now let's take a look at these bores. Shoo-wee, these are bad. Apparently bore score is a pretty common problem on these engines. I've heard of this happening before. Some of this is pretty deep. This is where a lot of that fine material is. You notice that one is really bad. I mean, this will catch your whole arm. Not even your fingernail. I've read that these engines are pretty notorious for bore score. These 278s and even the 157s, the AMG version. And sometimes they'll run just fine. And it's kind of like the Porsche M96 engines, where they all have some level of bore score, which is really scary to think about if your vehicle runs perfect, but maybe it just uses a little bit of oil, or maybe has a slight miss at idle because that compression is just a little low. Good. As possibly mentioned, we are going to pull this oil pump apart. The amount of material that went through this would make this pretty much not something I want to sell to somebody. So I'm not quite sure what this is. I'm sure somebody does. It has oil in it. I believe this is the actual oil pump here. Let's give it a little tap. Ah, there we go. Well, these little veins do have some wear on them. It's pretty common. It's not like excessive, and I don't really see a whole lot of wear in the housing. Not that you can see much. This part looks pretty good too. I think it's still a good component if I wanted to put this back together, but it may not be worth it. This engine was so much easier than the last one I tore down, but anytime you do something twice, the second time is always easier. That's a duh. But I think the majority of the ease with this one came from the fact that I didn't have to wrestle the engine to get the head bolts out of it. The last time I tore one of these down, the stand's rolling all over the place. Just to get the head bolts out, I had to stand on the stand. It was not good for my shoulders. In this case, I have a stand that has pads that keeps it from rolling around. I have a longer, bigger breaker bar. Head bolts came out with no trouble. I don't think that the head bolts on this are any tighter, or probably not even as tight as the 3-liter Duramax I tore down a few weeks ago, or the Caterpillar 3126. Those were definitely tighter than these. However, we still managed to break one on each bank, which kind of sucks. Now, I'm not going to say that the block has a ton of value, but that was the exact same thing that happened the last time I tore down one of these engines. And that engine also suffered from the exact same failure mode, to the T, bore scoring. And I've heard this from other dismantlers that anytime you sell these engines, the 276, the 278, the 157s, anytime you sell those engines, you have to do a compression and leak down, as well as stick a bore scope down each cylinder. Now, I think this engine was still running. I think it was fouling plugs and probably throwing misfire codes, and they condemned the engine, probably said, hey, let me see your wallet, and then they threw it in the river, because these engines are not cheap. But I would still take one over the BMW offering that's comparable. The N63 is still worse than this. I really do like the construction of these engines, and they seem to be just better in many respects. They don't have turbos in the middle. They don't have that massive heat, cooking, oil lines and fittings, and those things have a lot of problems. We've had several of them on the channel. Now, I know this engine looks really complicated. I understand that it looks terrible to work on, and it probably is in the car. But compared to some of the other engines I've tore down, this was very easy. Of course, half the parts were already loose, but those parts all come off in a normal order. Not like the BMW harness, which I'm sure if you had to replace one in the car, it would probably take you 12 to 14 hours. That sounds terrible. Don't ever take that job on. So if you'd like to buy any parts out of this engine, because this engine has a lot of good parts, or if you want rods or pistons for your desk, they make good desk ornaments, or perhaps Christmas gifts, I'm going to leave our email in the video description. You can also go to importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I've been uploading our parts cars just about every single week. And I think you guys might remember the rollover King Ranch, or I think maybe something fell on it. I'm not sure. Well, we finally sold a bunch of parts off of it, and it's time to get it torn down. So we've got the engine here. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put that in the description of the video as well. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one. Well, guys, I don't even know how to say this. Like, how do I even say this? I sold the water pump. I had a call for this. I know this goes against like everything I believe in. But somebody really needed this. I don't know why. But I'm breaking the rules. I sold a water pump. Hey, Brett. I sold a water pump.
We cannot be serious with this.
Look,
Come on.
Everybody's money's green, man. We've sold weirder stuff. Just get packed up. I'll send you the address here in a minute.
It's unreal.
Hey, Brett, you got the right label, right?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Oh, no. Oh, my God. I can get it. Oh, Brett. Whoa. Brett. Wait. Whoa. Brett.
What's that package? You got that?
Well, I guess we shouldn't sell used water pumps.
It's still good.
It's not still good.
No, God, no.
It's not good anymore. We lost that $11, Brett.
We'll never financially recover from this.